So I'm delighted, first of all, to welcome Mark from that place that he's going to tell you about, to tell you about all the fun, all the support that's available if you're interested in satellites, and I'm sure you all are. So Mark, over to you.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you. Morning all. Good to see you all. Yeah, welcome. Welcome here. And it's great to be back to people in the room, which is fantastic. So yeah, I work for Northeast Satellite Application Centre of Excellence. Easy to say, as Terry said, so we just call it a SATAP Centre. And it's funded by the National Space Catapults. And the aim of my presentation today is going to be very quick. It's an overview, it's an introduction to the space sector. For those who may know or don't know, it's going to be quite light touch, and I'll let the experts after me fill you in on the more detailed information. So yeah, we are located here, which is Net Park, which is a science and technology park based in Sedgefield, County Durham. It's a hotbed for innovation. Companies such as Chromet, Filtronic, the Durham University Orbit Centre is located here. And we are here, which is the Space Enterprise Lab. As Terry showed you before, it's full of people, which is great. And we were always used to showing this picture, empty chairs, which was horrible. This was set up obviously in COVID, and it's really great to see it being used for what we wanted it to be used for, which is growing the space sector, showing people what the space sector is, and hopefully getting them excited about joining the space sector, showing what capabilities there are. So yeah, so what I want to do now is just to give you a brief overview of the sector, which UK-wide and also more importantly in the Northeast. There's two documents there which I've uploaded onto the slides, which is the National Space Strategy and the UK Innovation Strategy. I won't go into too much detail, but it will give you a really good insight into the government's priorities, and safe to say that is a real, the space sector is a real government priority. So when you've got a spare 5 minutes, just yeah, have a brief look at that. So what does the sector look like money-wise, which obviously gives you a real good indication. It is a really, really fast-growing sector. 16.6 billion currently it's worth in the UK, estimated or targeted to be 49 billion by 2030. So you can see the growth there, and the 49 billion is basically a 10% share of the worldwide sector, and that's the government's objective, and that's in the National Space Strategy if you want to read it. More importantly, in the Northeast, and it's a great region for the space sector. Some really good organisations here, some mature organisations, some new organisations, which is really important. We can see the figures there, the income, 88 million. And the most important thing, as you can see, everything's up. It's growing, number of people employed in the space organisations. So it's a real positive picture to paint, and it's only going to get bigger, which is a real positive message to give. I don't expect you to hone in and read all of that, but it's just a visual to show you geographically where all of these great companies are. So we go all the way up to Cramlington, all the way down to North Yorkshire. Okay, not in the Northeast, but still a great space company that we have a lot of engagement with. But there's some really good companies on there, as you can see by their logos. So what's available, what's funding, what's the support? We deal very closely with ESA, or the European Space Agency. So they have a host of funding opportunities and a lot of support for businesses as well. So obviously if any companies are looking for funding, we can put you in touch with ESA, and you've also got obviously the UK Space Agency. But more importantly today, my message really is we've got a Community Renewals Fund, CRF, which is the new ERDF, opportunities. So through Business Durham, who ultimately I work for. We have grants for non-space companies to enter the sector. And we also have grants for existing space companies to grow in the sector. So for the diversification for non-space companies, we'd look at maybe a feasibility study, a strategy or new product development. And for existing companies, maybe assistance with tender writing and strategy, things like that. So I think the key message is the support there. So if there's a business out there that's, thinking, what opportunities, and obviously you'll hear after me through Piero and Pete, what the opportunities will be, then just drop me a line, just have that conversation, and we can help you enter this great sector that we're in. And that's my presentation, short and sweet, and hopefully a good insight into our sector. Any questions?
That's all I was going to say.
Great.
Just wants to ask you a question.
Oh no.
Any questions on Zoom from anyone?
No, I like-
Wave a hand if you want to ask anything. Oh, sorry. Yes, please.
So what else is space companies in the Northeast? What's the most kind of common part of the space industry that they're involved with? Is it parts manufacturing, or is it something else?
Yeah, it's a mixture. In space, there's upstream and downstream. So upstream, if you think, is sending people up, so that will be the manufacturing, widgets and panels and stuff like that. And then downstream is using that data. So there is a real mix in the Northeast, but we do have a kind of a speciality in SATCOMs, which you'll hear about through Piero and Pete. But there is a good mix.
There's a discussion going on Zoom about their favourite space-based film. I don't know if that is
Brilliant. Why not?
The Martian, Spaceballs, and Aliens are currently front runners. I don't know if you have any comments on that, Mark.
No, I can't. No, not really.
Do we have any serious? Oh, so Jane, you had a question. Actually,
I've just got a question, a very quick one. Thanks for the presentation. Can you tell us what links you've got, with not just simply with the ESA and the UK space effort, but there's a lot going on privately in the United States with entrepreneurs like Musk and others. And of course, there are other space agencies in like Japan, China, India, and so on. What sort of links do you have through your agency with some of these foreign space agencies and these foreign companies which are doing so much?
Yeah, good question. Thank you. Yeah, I suppose our role here in the Northeast SATAP Centre is to link organisations, build collaborations. So yeah, we deal obviously with, I've mentioned, the European Space Agency. We're funded by the National Space Catapult. So we have a real strong ecosystem, and obviously those people at the European Space Agency and the Catapult will have connections with other organisations throughout the world. So we are, I suppose, the stepping stone, the starting point to joining you up with the right people. We've got links with a place like Shetland for the launch, and other organisations as well. So yeah, it's, as I say, with hopefully we'll act as the starting point to where you need to be.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for that, Jane. And Pete has asked about the UK Space Agency. Rather than talk about the European Space Agency a lot, what about the UK Space Agency and connections there, perhaps?
Yeah, I think exactly what I've just said. We, depending where and who you want to speak to, we will be that first port of call. So we have links into various and all organisations throughout the UK and the world. So yeah, we've got links into the UK Space Agency and its funding.
And the ESA BIC network, someone's asked about that. Nick asked about that.
Well, we have through ESA, we have a regional ambassador called Paul Batia, and he would be our link to all the organisations in the Northeast who want to engage with ESA and its funding. So he would be the right person to speak to.
Okay, and could we share some of that information?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've put a link on the presentation.
Right.
ESA. Yeah.
Because with all the speakers, we'll hopefully be able to share their presentations if they're happy to, but we'll certainly share their contact details. So
yeah,
if a question comes to you at the weekend or whenever, then feel free to. Elaine has suggested that we watch the video. Can we do that? I don't know if that'll work. What do we?
Elaine, yeah, I did try to, Elaine. I've got the link. I'll try. Is
it something we could access?
The Wi-Fi wasn't strong enough, Elaine, just to let you know. So
maybe at the end we could try.
Yeah, I'll put a link in. Don't worry.
So we can all watch it afterwards.
I'll put it in the chat.
Right, brilliant, great. Well, thanks for that, Mark.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
I think someone else had their hand up.
Oh, right.
On the screen next.
So last question, how is the risk changing given the supply shortage of precious metals? Because Ukraine, Russia, China, Taiwan.
Very.
You can pass on any of these.
No, I don't want to pass on any. I think to sit on the fence, I think with every industry, with the supplies being an issue, it's going to affect everyone. And obviously the prices will go through the roof. So it will affect, I would imagine. But that's me sitting on the fence and almost passing without.
No, that's fine. And then a final question: is there support for applications to the Eurostars program?
The support with anything, that's our goal. That's our aim, is to provide support. So yes,
good answer.
There you go.
Brilliant. Well, thanks
Cheers,
for that,
Harry.
Mark.
Thank you.
Big hand and we could show our appreciation in the normal manner with jazz hands. Can you see that? There we are, Mark. They're for you. There we go. Right, thanks for that. So I'm now delighted to welcome Piero from Great. Are you from Great Consultants? Is that right? Or who's going to bamboozle us? Hopefully, not too much, but just enough to make us go, "Wow, that's incredible." So, over to you.
Yeah, sure. So good morning, everyone. I'm Piero Leon, and I'm working with a Great Consultant. My background is mainly in space research for 10 years, so the space missions like Cassini to Saturn, Moon, and moons. And after 10 years, I moved to the private sector and been working in consulting on satellite communications, remote sensing, and the communication in general. So today, I'm going to talk about satellite communication in the first workshop of the series that we are doing with the Sat Catapult. So the topics that will be briefly addressing, this is an introductory session. I will not go deep, but if there is anyone that has further questions or wants to know more in detail, we can support during the Q&A and afterwards. So next, please. We will address it later. So let's jump on satellite communications. Why satellite communication are important and what is the benefit to the UK economy? First of all, satellite communication allows to connect anywhere in the world, and in particular, where there is no terrestrial infrastructure. And this is very important because considering that the land mass is only 30% of Earth, and that less than half is covered by terrestrial infrastructure, really there are a lot of places where there is limited, poor, or no connection. So satellite can bridge the gap where connection is needed, but the infrastructure is not available and is not economic to deploy. So satellite provide outdoor ubiquitous connectivity and are essential to a wide range of public and private activities, and basically provide the coverage and the resilience. If we look at the UK, according to Ofcom, we have 4% of the UK households that are underserved in relation to broadband. And also, in addition to these households, you have the businesses in the nearby area that cannot access super fast broadband. And this is an issue because it has been demonstrated and shown that really fast broadband is a economic growth enabler. So still in the UK, which is a developed country, we are 4% of the households not covered. So, and in the transition to the digital economy, I think that this is not affordable for developed countries, and having more connectivity will be useful for the development of you know, let's say third world or less developed countries. If we look to the UK economy, space activities are contributing over 16 billions, and only SATCOM is contributing directly 10 billions in revenues. And the main part of these revenues are deriving from, you know, direct home television, so broadcasting. But 2.5 billions are coming from manufacturing and development of product and the provision of services for mobile and fixed communications. What is really important is that the workforce involved in SATCOMs is composed by people who have hired, that have at least first degree, 3 out of 4, and is composed by 30,000 people. And last but not least, the productivity of the space sector worker is much higher than the national average. And this is important because this means stable and good job for highly skilled people. Next one, please. So jumping into applications, I will go through, you know, very high level to the main that are significant. So when we think about mobile networks, you don't have coverage everywhere. So this is where satellite comes in, providing backhauling to base stations that are, you know, at the edge of less densely populated areas. So satellite can provide coverage, and it can provide also offloading of traffic in more densely populated area. Broadband, we have been already saying that there is a 4% of households to be reached with a better service, and satellite is a fast means to deploy broadband connectivities. IoT, the Internet of Things, will be very, very big in the next future. And basically, satellite allowed to connect in the sky, at sea, across borders, everywhere IoT solutions are needed. Other application also involve telemedicine. For example, a trial of healthcare diagnostics was performed in the North Sea, where over 15,000 people are working. So through satellite, you can provide screening of patients through let's say non-medical staff that are consulting with the physician remotely. And also going back to satellite networks, companies like EE have partnered with Avanti Communication, which is a UK company, to connect 1,000 base stations to provide a backhauling. And on top of that, Avanti is also providing resilient communications for the UK Emergency Services Network. The last one, safety communications. Safety communications. SATCOMs are important for activities at sea and in the sky. And in the UK, we have a satellite operator which is providing resilient connectivity for these kind of applications. So the company is Inmarsat, as you know, and assures a high level of safety and in the sky and for the shipping industry. On top of that, if we look to the future, both ships and aircraft will be connected because they are generating terabytes of data, and this data can be useful for basically engineering and better engineering and maintenance and scheduling of routes. And last but not least, global maritime distress and safety systems use satellite communications to provide, let's say, emergency, rescue in case of emergency. Next one. So did you know, probably if you are from the sector, you know already, but UK and in particular London is home of three important satellite companies. These are Inmarsat, Avanti, and OneWeb. It's quite interesting that they are quite different. Inmarsat, we mentioned already, is a leader in the safety communication and also governmental communications, and has been set up as an intergovernmental organization back in 1979, only for the maritime application. Afterwards, in the 80s, its charter has been extended to supply safety and secure communication to the aviation industry. And later on, in the 90s, the company was privatized, so was not anymore an intergovernmental organization, and has expanded and grown since then. The second company, which was founded in 2002, is Avanti Communication. They've been a pioneer in deploying, let's say, Ka band broadband. And as an interesting story, because they have been growing, partnering with the European Space Agency. They launched the first satellite back in 2010, and they managed to do that, partnering and being supported by the European Space Agency that, as you know, is supported by UK government funding. Today, they have 5 satellites and they provide broadband in the EMEA region. And what is also interesting is that the team that funded Avanti, now not long ago, they founded a company which is called Arkit, which is also based in London, which provides quantum encryption platform as a service. Again, Arkit partnered with the European Space Agency to develop a quantum key distribution satellite to demonstrate that the space infrastructure can be secured through this advanced technology, which will have more and more application in the future. The last one is Avanti. Probably you have heard in the news recently because of the geopolitical situation. Has been founded in 2012 and has been kick-starting the revolution in satellite communication with low Earth orbit satellite. Actually, mega constellation of low Earth orbit satellite that has been followed by people like, well, companies like SpaceX, so Elon Musk, who has been mentioned before, and Starlink, which is also available as a service in the UK already, and by companies like Telesat, and most notably also Amazon is working on a global constellation. OneWeb should deploy by the end of this year the full constellation, which is 600 satellites. Other constellations are thousands of satellites. What is important is that OneWeb not only designed a new platform for the satellite, but they've been working with Airbus Industries to develop a facility to mass manufacture satellite, which is something innovative and really new that has never done before. So satellite is even more important than before, because in the vision to 5G, for the first time, satellite will be part of, let's say the global infrastructure. Traditionally, satellite communication have been separated from terrestrial infrastructure, and that they had a different standard, and it was difficult to make them, work together. In the 5G network, 5G is a network of networks. Satellite will be an integral part of the 5G network. Next, please. So in terms of cost and satellite, traditionally satellite has been more expensive because of the investment involved, but this is also changing. Operators are looking to more powerful and more flexible satellites, and to do things differently and cheaper than before. So what is going on is that the technology, and what is really important is that the terrestrial technology and all the evolution on communication technology on Earth has been really important, and has been also partly transferred to the space sector. So there is an exchange between the space sector and the terrestrial sector. Traditionally, it was more that the space technology, when they were finding a terrestrial application. Now it appears to be, the other way around. And if you are in a underserved area, now you can get a fast internet, which is competitive in speeds with fiber, but it's still more expensive, but cheaper than in the past. We have been talking with a company, and they were saying, oh yeah, but this is great, because even if it's more expensive, because the term of comparison is broad, is fiber that you have at home. They said, well, before it was much more expensive, and the service was not at this level. Next. And to finish, this is the last slide. I think that this is the most interesting time to work on satellite and satellite communication product and services. There has probably never been, since the 60s, a more exciting time to work on space, because technology has been evolving quite fast, and the new technology and disruptive technology can be applied or can be implemented on satellite communications. Here I'm listing some of the areas that are more interesting for technology, and that will bring, better performance and more cost affordability. I mentioned a couple that to me are really intriguing and interesting. For sure, there are two companies that are trying to, and they are developing, and one as a shareholder of Vodafone, direct smartphone, a normal smartphone, to satellite communication. So if you are not where there is a base station, or if you are, on a mountain, or you are everywhere where there is no signal, you will have the possibility to roam on the satellite and talk and maybe ask for help, if you are in a distress situation. Another technology is inter-satellite links, optical inter-satellite links. This will allow to have communications that are even, let's say, not faster, but will have a latency, network latency, similar to fiber, and in some cases even faster. And then on the product side, antenna technology is evolving both on the space segment and on ground. And there are companies developing terminals that can work with different type of satellite in different orbits. And the very last step is, today communication are in radio frequencies, is laser communications, which will provide faster communications and will not require and will not basically cause possible interference between different satellite networks, which can be an issue. So I think that never since I've been working in space, and it's quite some years because this is back from the 90s, there has been a more exciting time to try to develop something for space and satellite communication in particular. And there has never been a time for people to enter this sector as a company or as a professional. So, and part of this, particularly for satellite communication, is related to the 5G vision of always and very fast connected. So if there are any questions.
Thanks, Piero. I think a round of applause before we have any questions. Thanks for that. We do have a question. Sorry, yes, please.
On fiber versus satcom,
Yeah.
one of the problems I have still at home in the evening is it gets overloaded, my fiber, and it drops. What's the comparison to satcom?
Well, of course, there is a difference. Normally, satellite have, as you have on fiber, a contention rate. So they care for a certain number of users. If you have more users, basically the performance degrades. But the satellite operators are very careful to allocate the resources in a more, let's say, meaningful for the user way. And you have also to consider that there are two facts that are important, that the number of users of satellite broadband is smaller. So you have less people to contact the resources with. And that with these new mega constellations, they are deploying in more capacity that all the capacity available in space today. So we will have plenty of satellite capacity to be used. Also because, applications are eating up on more and more data, data growth has been exponential in the last 15 years. So I think that you will not experience a situation like it drops, and they are careful on the service level that agree. While on terrestrial is like, yeah, you should get I don't know, 66 megabits per second, well, maximum, and then you get 20. So
You reassured.
Oh, sorry, one more.
No,
question,
of course.
that's okay. So it's really interesting, and it's a fantastic story, but I will also think of the other side. How crowded is it getting up there with the satellites that we're deploying? And what's the cleanup process
Okay.
It ensures that the satellites that need to be decommissioned are decommissioned effectively.
So basically, the United States United Nations regulation, this topic needs to be addressed. So you have different type of satellites. You have the geostationary satellite, and those normally after 15 years are put in a graveyard orbit. So they have a fuel to move them away so that the operator can use the orbital slot where was the old satellite with a bigger, more powerful satellite. So it's in their interest also to remove it. And they stay there for, I don't know, 300 years or more. So they are there. And this is where they will be. For these lower Earth orbit constellations, there are also regulations. Basically, you cannot junk the space because space is a resource that needs to be used also in the future. So what happens is that they are deorbited, so they will be pushed down, and when they re-enter the atmosphere, basically they will degrade, so they will be burnt. There will be some left over, but most of them will be gone. Space junk is an issue. There are companies, also in the UK, if I'm not wrong, working on removing debris or let's say in space servicing, like your satellite is as a fault. There is another satellite arriving and then moving it or do something to fix it. For this kind, yeah, maintenance, yeah. So this is still early days. I'm not saying that it's not worthy, but it's an issue that is an important issue. So it was very good to point it out, and there is a lot of work going on.
And there's a company based, just across in our orbit building called Norse, and you've seen the name on one of the slides earlier. And their whole business is all about monitoring that junk, if that's what you want to call it, run by a guy who's ex-Royal Air Force, where they used to monitor all the stuff in terms of missiles and then space stuff was an offshoot of that. And now the whole business runs on satellites, bits of satellites, of watching, predicting collisions, that kind of stuff, and passing that information to relevant people. But it's a major issue, and they've been talking about it for years, and now everybody's starting to go, oh yeah, I think they might have a point.
And talking about local companies, I discovered last week that one of the companies in this area has been providing chipsets for the OneWeb satellites, which was interesting. I didn't know because I've been working on the project and I didn't know. Because space projects typically have larger supply chains and a lot of suppliers. So normally people know only the system integrator like Airbus, Thales Alenia, Lockheed Martin, that are system integrators. But really, space is a collaborative effort to build and deploy satellites and provide services.
Actually, Elaine on Zoom's just mentioned there's a space sustainability interest group in the Northeast who are looking at that issue of space junk. There was another question from Casa on Zoom. What is the future of satellite security in terms of national security? So what are governments and space agencies doing about that? I'm sure it's quite a big question.
So in the past, I've been working also on a couple of projects that are called government or civil satcoms, that really means military. One was Skynet 5 here in the UK, and the other one was Yasat. So part of the story, I think that this is related to potential jamming and secure communications. Of course, encryption is used, but stuff like quantum encryption is the stuff that will allow to go a step further in security of communications and in preventing jamming, for example. Maybe you have heard on television or on Twitter that in Ukraine, they requested Elon Musk, they asked to Elon Musk provide switch on service on Ukraine, and please provide the user terminals because otherwise we are isolated. So that is also another unexpected application because Starlink is a commercial venture, is not targeting government or military.
And actually the next one of these events or the one after is on cybersecurity. Whether they'll touch on satellites or not, I'm not sure, but we'll see.
Yeah, we have another company in the Northeast who specialise in security in space. Really good. But, yeah, we've got it.
So, Pierre, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sure we've just scratched the surface. So I'm sure if anyone else has any questions or comments or would like to connect, as I said earlier, I'll share his contact details probably on Monday. So now I'm delighted to welcome Pete Johnson from M-Connected, who I'm hoping is, there he is waving. Sadly, Pete isn't with us in the room, but I'm sure he's going to light up the screen with his happy smiling face and some interesting slides. So Pete, we're just going to put you on to highlight. There he is. And then you can just share your screen and stuff. And we'll be able to hear you once you unmute yourself. That'd be good.
Okay. Hi, it's Pete Johnson. I just want to check if you can hear me there, Terry. Is that okay?
We're just going to turn you up a bit.
All right.
Keep talking, Pete, so we can hear.
Oh, Terry, you don't want to hear my voice all the time.
Oh, we do, man. We do. That's what we come for. Is this on full on the Rachel?
How's that? Any good?
Yeah. Nice and loud, though. That's all right. Right, Pete, over to you.
Okay, then I'll attempt to share my screen. How we doing? Are we in there? Anybody there? Can you hear me? Can you see it?
Yeah, we're all good. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna kill my video just in case it takes the, yeah, should be all right. If I kill the video, we're still there? Good. Anyway, my name's Pete Johnson. I'm the CEO of a company called M-Connected Limited. And as you can probably see on the bottom there, we're an asset intelligence company and IoT. I tend not to speak about IoT because it seems to me over a few years, IoT has been used in every aspect of technology, and a lot of people don't understand it. So what we talk about is asset intelligence, and we've been working with people like the defense industry, the Royal Navy, the French Navy, Formula One, DHL, to understand how small sensors can make a big difference when you're doing an operation. Now, we also work with a satellite company called Inmarsat, which you can see on there as well, and the European Space Agency. Now, we put a consortia together, a consortia together to look at if we could use satellite to monitor critical infrastructure. And we were very lucky indeed to be able to get a place in Northumberland called Kielder. And I don't know if anybody, I'll tell you about Kielder in a second, but this place is quite rugged. It's in the middle of nowhere and there's not much population. So what we did, we started looking at critical infrastructure. There's a reason for that. Critical infrastructure in the UK is getting very old. And if critical infrastructure fails, it affects so many other parameters of our daily life you wouldn't believe. As you can imagine, the design engineers producing critical infrastructure 50 years ago didn't even think about building in tolerances to control or look at climate changes or environmental changes. And, you know, we've got to start looking at this very seriously indeed. The knock-on effect, as I said, if one goes, example of this would be if Kielder Dam failed, it would affect over 30% of the population of the Tyne Valley. It would knock out about 60% of all the transport infrastructure. And it would probably then degrade the water purification systems for Tyneside and Wearside. So if we can just move on, if I can. I don't know how it's happening. Let me have a look. Yeah. Okay, let's just talk about Kielder for a minute. It's massive. It's got a huge shoreline, 200 billion litres of water. And I said before, it serves as Tyneside and Wearside with water. Small problem here, I don't know what it is. That's better. Yeah, we'll use that. It's really deep, and it's got a massive dam at the eastern end of it, which is 1.2 kilometers long and pretty high, 52 meters high. So as you can see, this is an ideal, it's an ideal place to put a reservoir. It's probably the biggest man-made reservoir in Europe, and the topography around it is pretty good for catchment of water for rain. So basically, the demonstrator overview is based around this: the safety and security of critical infrastructures in remote locations where there's little or no terrestrial communications. So this is an ideal spot to test what we can do with satellites. So what we look to do is monitor the effects of the charge and discharge of the reservoir on the dam infrastructure. Now, you might think, well, what difference does it make? Well, the dam moves, believe it or not, it flexes. And that is really interesting. And it's millimeters, but it does flex. So we needed to understand how we could measure this, the charge and discharge of the reservoir. We could also, if we could measure the charge and discharge of the reservoir and any movement on the infrastructure, we could then start over time looking to predict any changes in the infrastructure due to heavy rain, storms, whatever. What we did as well, I just want to come back to the demonstrator itself. This is an 18-month demonstrator. 6 months was to set kit up, understand it, bring the stakeholders on board. And then we did 12 months of data, which is about to finish in April. So let's have a look at the technologies. There's a lot been spoke about satellite, and I think it's amazing what satellite is and how much time and money is spent on satellites themselves. But where we come from as a business is how can we enable that connectivity to give us what we need in terms of the work we do? And I want to mention this, and this is the IoT bit: low power, wide area networks and sensors. These have come into their own over the last 5 years. Some of the sensors now are really incredibly accurate. They're not very big and battery powered and can last for 2 or 3 years. And if you can put a low power wide area network across the likes of Kielder, you can really bring some of these new technologies and sensors to their own. Also, I know this is not satellite, but in certain areas, if it's a remote area, you might not have any power at all. So we looked at, and I'll show you a slide of this in a minute. We looked at powering the satellite, not the satellite itself, but the base station and the wide area link by using renewable power sources. We also looked to see if we could prove that somewhere like Kielder could actually get resilient satellite communications. So it's all right getting data out, but what do you do when you get it out? And I think there's a lot of work being done on this over the last few years for a lot of companies. And you need to visualize your data. You need to give a dashboard. Now, I know everybody's got dashboards, but dashboards given data in real time and with the power to do predictive analytics on the data that you get. And as I said there, I think you've got to be able to get that data anywhere on any device. And I think that's really important, because even though Kielder is a big operation, a lot of people are not working in Kielder, so they need to know if there's a problem. They need to know at that time what that problem is and how they can react to it. Just to, just to give you an idea of the size of the dam itself. As you can see, it's keeping water back, which can be up to 180 meters. It's monster. But what I found very interesting is it's only glacial clay, which has been dragged out from the valley and piled up. So it's a clay core. So it's interesting because you think about, hold on a minute, that's clay. Water does pass through clay, and it does. So on the downstream side of the reservoir, of the dam itself, there are wells which you can see the water flowing through, but it's not huge. It keeps it all back. As you can see, there's a lot of clay there being piled up, and the crest road is where we put our sensors, just on the dam wall themselves. So let's just see how we did this. Okay. So what we did, we set up an LP1 across the dam wall. And I'm just going to point out with my mouse, there's a little turret there, which you can access from the other side of the dam. And we put our satellite systems and LP1 systems in there, and then put a number of sensors on the dam wall itself. We also used sensors, depth sensors on the tributaries themselves as well, so we could understand how much water is actually coming into the reservoir. I'm just going to point this out. That is there. That is it. Now that's the valve tower, which has been a great opportunity for us to put the satellite systems in. And I love this photograph. That is the access point from the dam through to the turret there. It's huge. So this is a major critical infrastructure, and it needs to be protected. Again, this is a shot within the valve tower, and that was just a rudimentary setup of an LP1 and a satellite system. And you can see that for people who don't understand what we did with satellite system, the little square is now the antennas. We don't get these huge dishes at the minute. We also put another satellite hub on the northern end of the reservoir itself. And as I mentioned before, what we attempted to do is use renewables to actually power the whole satellite and LP1 hub. So it doesn't give you enough scale, but I tell you what, putting that stuff up in a Kielder winter is no fun at all. Not even with your scaffolding around it, especially when that blade is traveling. I don't know what the RPM is, but when you've got a 30-knot wind, you know that turbine's running. So we've got a balance between photovoltaic and wind turbine to produce 50 volts continuous to run the satellite hub as well as the LP1. And that's one with crazy engineers. He is crazy, actually. As you can see, that is just a shot of the kiosk which we put together, which gives us the photovoltaic power at a constant level and also the communication systems to the satellite. Just to give you an idea of the sensors, on the ultrasonic water level sensor there on your left, I would say that's about the size, just half the size of a laptop and not much bigger. That would give us the depth sensors on the water. And if we look at the other sensor, again, it's about the same size, but that is a dam wall tilt sensor. And that is incredibly accurate, all pinged back through LP1, straight over the satellite to the dashboard. Just a couple of quick shots of the dam there, as you can see. And if you can see my cursor, we used that line there as a datum for our tilt sensors. It's a demonstrator. So I thought probably the best thing to do is give you just a schematic overview of what we produced using satellites, and I'm going to call them IoT sensors. So what we basically did on the dam wall itself, we used a number of sensors, and we're going to add to these sensors later on to take on the piezometers. Piezometers measure movement of clays and soils. But the dam wall tilt sensors are there, straight back to wireless gateway. And we used a lot of edge data aggregation and communications at that point. Basically, then we could look at it very seriously without going over the satellite as well. But then we put resilient Inmarsat satellite systems in there because, as I said before, there was no terrestrial connectivity at all at this point. And we built a dashboard, data pipeline in there, started looking at thresholds and building data so we could understand if some of the thresholds that we set on the dam wall were realistic or they were being breached. And again, just to show, we are also putting in a lot of APIs so we could integrate the data we've got with other systems, APIs, into maybe SAP or whatever it needs to be done. So we give the dam engineers and the guys who are looking after the dams the best opportunity to see the data coming through. Just a quick shot of the dashboards we've built. So effectively, if you hover over one of the devices, you can click on the device and it gives you virtually real-time data on that device. So on the first bit here, these are all the dam wall sensors, and the status of them are green. They're green for a number of reasons. They're saying that they are pumping out data, the batteries are fine, and they're well within the thresholds which we set on the systems themselves. So as you can see, you can drill down quite a lot into the systems we built. I'm not going to this, but this is a sort of level we can get to. We can set XY thresholds on each and every one of the sensors from an X and Y perspective. And we can monitor them. We can understand, how many times they've been down, why they've been down, and what does it mean to the KPIs of the project. I'll not go into that, but they're micro degrees. And honestly, they're so small you wouldn't believe. Just to point out, Keel's dam is absolutely pristine. It's not moving. It's flexing, but it's absolutely perfect. Just to give you more of a sense of what we get back from the sensors themselves and how we graph it. As you can see, this is, again, very, very small movement. But when we've done the data analytics, we'll understand there's correlations. So on the left-hand side is the tilt sensors on the dam. On the right-hand side is the sensors we've got in the tributaries. And what we found over a year is one major thing, that there has been a climatic change. The climatic change is we get a drought scenario. We had a major drought scenario in, I would say, August through to December in Kielder, and it's normally not that case. At that point, the rains hit us hard and some of the storms hit us hard as well. But we worked out that when the drought came in, the dam expanded vertically. And we reckon that was to do with a glaciation effect that you could get when a nice pack or or glacier hits land. When the glacier moves away, the land rises. So we're looking at this very seriously at the minute to understand it a bit more. But coming back to it, the dam is moving, we can monitor it, and we can start doing predictive analysis against what is a good threshold and what's not. Just coming back to a few things which we did on the demonstrator itself, we had a look at KPIs. And I'm not going to go through all the KPIs because they're there, you can see them. But it falls into 3 areas effectively. Can we monitor the platform effectively using systems like LP1s and satellite backhaul? And also, can we monitor the security events, which has been part of the demonstrator? And coming back, we've spent a lot of time with the European Space Agency looking at security systems and building encryption systems for the transmission of data over satellite. So basically, that is what we did from a KPI point of view. There's been a couple of red ones. I'm just going to put this on the bottom. Yeah, sorry. There. So we've got a couple of red ones in there at this moment in time. And a couple of them were down to the severe weather we've had over the last couple of months, and also a system downtime because the storms knocked one of the power systems out, so we had to fix it. But all in all, we've been really happy with the KPIs and what we've done with them. So let's just understand, what have we really looked at and what have we achieved? Tilt sensors on the dam wall, which are LP1 or a suitable data source. So you haven't got these massive sensors now with a lot of fiber optics coming back to a central hub. We can effectively use some of the small sensors which are about, and they're available. You know, some of these sensors are only 500 quid. The trip sensors we had a bit of a problem with because it didn't reflect volume, it reflected depth of the tributary at that point in time. So we've had to build in an algorithm to understand the bottom of the tributary, how far it is across. And what we really want to do next is put a flow meter in there as well, which will give us a lot more information. Now, I think I said that reservoir dam movement levels are highly correlated to charge and discharge in the movements. But at this point in time, we can say that the thresholds we set, none of them have been breached. And I think that is one of the most important. The KPIs have come back really good. The edge sensors are working, the dashboards are green, and we're getting a high level of analysis through the dashboard. I think this is important as well. And I think somebody did mention that satellites can be used in areas, you know, where it's quite remote. You can power these things if you do it properly. And it was a bit of a balancing act between photovoltaic and wind turbine, but it was achieved. So I think that's it. So if I now stop sharing my screen. Is everybody still there?
Still there, Pete, but we're waiting to see your happy smiling face. So could you put your camera back on?
All right, give us a second. So now we'll do it.
So just,
Any good? No.
It's gone black now. We can't see anything. But while we're waiting for you to emerge, that was brilliant. Thanks for that, Pete. I think you've probably answered the question that was on everybody's lips. It's not moving, is it? And clearly it isn't, which we're all very happy about. Does any questions in the room or comments or anything for Pete? Anything you want? Yes, Piero.
Yeah, I have one. Which standard do you use for LP1?
I can't answer that question. I'm CEO, but I'm not really the technical engineer on the site. I can find that out for you though. No problem, and get back to you.
It was just a curiosity because we have been working on IoT stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely LP1, but I'm not sure what protocols we're using. I can get that to you though.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Pete. And yes, you have a question in the room.
Yeah, sorry if you said this, I think to the room, but how often were the sensors reporting back to the satellite?
Did you get that, Pete?
Yeah, we did 10 minutes.
Oh, so 10-minute intervals.
Yeah, and also I think the satellite systems we were using in our systems are really good on short burst data, really good. Coming back to using satellite for other things, with video, whatever, which we looked at briefly, we think that it's really good on low power wide area networks.
Thanks very much.
Any other questions on Zoomers? Give us a wave if you want to ask a question or make a comment or an observation or anything. No, you see, Pete, you've bamboozled them. That's what always happens. Then they're all soaked in, and they'll be in the shower on tomorrow morning. Go, oh, I wish I'd asked them this. But as I said before, we'll share your contact details, Pete. So you might get some questions over the weekend or next week or some connections. Last shout for in the room. Anyone? No? Oh yes.
Peter, it's Brian here in the room. Well, could you elaborate a bit more on the power source in remote locations and how that worked for you?
Yeah, so basically we used a company called Leading Edge, which are sort of like professionals at balancing photovoltaic and wind turbines to produce a very constant, and this point was 52 volts, but we used a super cap at the back end of it instead of batteries. The super caps are really good, but they're a bit unpredictable. So if we went with other battery systems, we would be more happy. But the super cap was if it drops below 42 volts, and sometimes it did, and we got a point where we got a lull in both. It was December, we didn't have any wind, and we didn't have any light. So the super cap actually switched itself off. And if we were building it again, we wouldn't use a super cap. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just curious because it's a challenge, isn't it?
Oh yeah, completely.
Yeah. Okay, it's interesting.
But a company called Leading Edge, we think they're the best knocking around at the minute. They're doing a lot of work for us. They're doing a lot of work for the Scottish government as well. And they're using their systems on the turbine and photovoltaic to beam in bandwidth to areas in Scotland where there's absolutely no.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Pete. We've lost. Oh, we're back. Right, we're back. Sorry. Right. So, a huge round of applause and jazz hands from the Zoomers. And also to Mark and Piero for sharing their knowledge and expertise with us this morning. So we've now got a few people who want to do a quick 2-minute pitch. So we have Debbie, who's on Zoom. Are you wanting to do a quick pitch, Debbie? Are you still there? Yes.
Go on then. Go on, Terry. Twist me
No,
arm.
you want to. Come on.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can, yes,
Definitely.
now clear.
Yeah, sorry I can't be there in person, but I've got the dreaded COVID, can you believe it or not? So yeah, Debbie Simpson. I work for North East Business and Innovation Centre in the innovation programme, and in a nutshell, we've got a 40% grant towards innovative projects. So it's for the development of products, processes and services. And it fits really well because we've been working with them connected on this very project. So want to get back to Pete about making his claim. So it's a fantastic project. So if there's anyone out there who wants to have a quick chat about if you've got a project coming up and you think it might be eligible for our grant fund, as with all the other ERDF projects around, we're on the countdown. We'll finish next year, but we anticipate our funds to be gone by the end of probably the end of December this year. So just get in touch. Happy to chat with everyone and you know anyone about any innovation projects. This money has to be spent, doesn't it, Terry? So might as well get in touch. So thanks, everybody. Thanks.
afterwards, if there's anyone in the room who wants to have a chat with you while they're here, we'll try and make that happen.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Champion, lovely, lovely.
Thanks, Debbie. And now we've got, is it Richard McCowan? Richard, are you there? Did you want to do a quick pitch? There he is.
Yeah, I'm here to put a jumper on. It's so cold down here in New York. So yeah, hi there. My name's Richard James McCowan. I am the founder and biofutures of Biomimicry Innovation Lab based in New York. We're currently working around the world on various projects, some looking at remote sensing in Cape Town, Madagascar and India. But one of the things I'm really looking at is how can we partner up with some of the startups and academics we've been working with, because we've just came out of an 18-month research project looking at every sort of academic around the UK doing something related to biomimicry, which is taking principles of nature into technologies. And that could be AI, machine learning, materials science, healthcare, new ways of looking at processing, biological process fabrication as well. And yeah, we're really just interested in speaking to people about that. We've just delved into a bit more into space-based tech as well, because I'm doing a presentation in a couple of months in Ohio for the Space Center there as well. I've already spoken to a few people about my connections in the Middle East relating to space technology. And yeah, we're just interested in speaking to people based in the UK around space technologies. Where can our work take us? Great. And sorry, I couldn't make it up there in person because I automatically just clicked thinking it was a remote one and completely forgot that we could actually show our legs again.
Well, yes, it's the new world, but maybe the next one. But as with Debbie, if you want to, if there's anyone in the room who wants to have a chat with you on Zoom, I'm sure we can make that happen. Or I'll circulate your contact details afterwards. And anyone who's interested, that's the chap to speak to. So thanks, Richard.
Yeah, I'm a Newcastle fan for my sins as well.
All right. We've got Donna now who wants to talk about internships. Is that right?
Hiya, hi everyone. My name's Donna Bainbridge and I'm from Sunderland University. Just to give you a little summary of the internship scheme that we're running at the moment. This internship scheme is due to come to an end. All placements must be made by August. So again, like Debbie said, the time's ticking. It's an ERDF project also. And the aim is to support SME growth and innovation through graduate recruitment, creating those longer term opportunities, hopefully in the long run to get the right fit for the graduate and the SME. There's up to 4,500 ERDF funding for companies who engage with the scheme. And the kind of businesses we can support are SMEs in Tyne and Wear and Northumberland, so within the North East LEP area, in the private sector, and those that are innovative. So ideally, the graduate would be working on a new product or process for that business. The offer itself, there's a few kind of criteria that need to be hit with the contract for the graduate. So it needs to be a minimum of a 12-month contract of employment and a minimum of 18,000 salary. That will kind of vary in terms of the role itself, because we need to kind of get the right salaries for the right roles and attract the right caliber of candidates, if that makes sense. And a full-time position. And the graduates don't have to come from Sunderland University, although we'd love them to. They can come from any UK university and have graduated within 5 years. So it does give us the chance to tap into the more experienced graduates who maybe done another internship scheme or had that kind of industry experience. So
That's
thank
brilliant.
You very much.
Thanks, Donna. And again, anyone who's interested, you'll get Donna's contact details later. Before a copy, I want to do a pitch as well. Nicola, you're on Zoom as well, Nicola, is that right?
I am on Zoom, thank you.
There we go.
Good morning, everybody. Just very quickly, as we all know, space technology is being transformed by industry to provide a variety of Earth products over and above the very interesting satellite-based ones that we've heard about today. So there have been some very amazing innovations in areas that are a little bit close to home that you might not expect. So in baby care, where satellite deployment technology has been turned into an ultralight baby travel cot, with medical diagnostics for cancer identification and drug delivery, and even to sniff out bed bugs. So the ESA Business Incubation Centre network, I've mentioned it a few times now, supported over 500 startups over the years in transferring technology either upstream into the space sector or downstream to create new game-changing applications for being used on Earth. So the ESA Business Incubation Centre in Leicester has space for 4 companies to join its programme this year. So if they are creating an on-Earth product or service from an existing technology or creating a new one in space, ESA will give those companies over a 2-year incubation period up to €50,000 worth of funding. So that's around about £43,000, up to 80 hours of technical support from leading experts, business coaching, IP advice, usage of the ESA branding, which is quite unique to a lot of programs, workshops and all sorts of other fundraising and guidance. The application is in 2 stages, and the next deadline for submission is on the 24th of May. And if successful, then you would need to be invited in for a presentation to the board. I'm working with Paul Batir and a lot of the other guys in the area there as the business development manager for the ESA BIC at Leicester. So I'm helping companies to check their eligibility, complete their application form, and prepare for the presentation if successful. So for more information about it, I'm Nicola Musgrove. So you can contact me via LinkedIn or email me nkm17@leicester.ac.uk. I'll be more than happy to chat with anybody who has a potential space idea or want to find out more about the centre. So thank you.
That's brilliant. Thanks for that, Nick. And I'll share your email next week in case anyone didn't get a chance to put that down. And then Sarah Porteous, are you with us on Zoom also?
Yes, I am. Hello,
Yes,
morning. So I'm Sarah Porteous from North East Ambition. And we're the easiest way to say it is that we're skills brokers. And it's really interesting to be here today, as we were at the New Frontier as well event, is to see how this is growing in the area alongside other industries as well. And what is a resounding sort of headliner or resounding what all these sectors are saying is about our workforces, skills. We're needing skilled people to go into these sectors. And that's what we're here to help with. We're here to help where those skills gaps are, where the skill shortages are, and we link in with all the universities, colleges, training providers in order to find that training for that workforce to get them up to a fully competent and confident workforce to drive these industries forward. So that's Sarah from North East Ambition. Thank you, everyone.
Sarah. I think the 2 who were going to be in the room aren't here, but I'll just check. Caroline Williamson? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, it's just you hadn't signed in, so your name was not, is it?
No,
Do you want to?
I'll be really quick. So
No, that's fine.
Program as Sarah, and we clearly didn't coordinate this very well because we both signed up. So like Sarah's just said, I work for North East Ambition. We're a European Social Fund programme. We're a fully funded, free and partial service. Any SME in the North East that want to talk about skills, whether that's looking at internships, whether that's you've got some staff that could do with a little bit extra training, whether it's just that you're grown and you want to kind of do a bit of skills audit and make sure that your workforce lines up with what you need it to. That's basically what we're here for. Totally free, totally impartial. Feel free to get in touch with me or Sarah. Sarah will probably chuck the details in the chat if anyone wants to catch up. No, we'll stop talking about ourselves.
Yes. And then is Emma from Anna's here as well. See, you've got a full house. It's brilliant. Well, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Where are they?
If you just slightly to the left, and then they'll see.
Is it that?
That's the camera.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Hello. Emma Harbottle from a company called Analox. So we're a specialist gas detection company, and we, as I've learned today, are upstream. So we're never heard that expression before. So we've made CO2, O2, temperature and humidity sensors that have gone on manned space flight from the US. We haven't really focused on this market that much. It was quite an entrepreneurial response to a request that came in a few years ago, which Luke over there used to work at Analox and he worked on the project. And we're just looking to kind of explore whether this growing market is an opportunity for growth for us. So there's not that many people that get put into space at the moment, but there might be other things that we can do in terms of gas detection during the manufacturing processes of other equipment. So if anyone hears of anything or knows of any opportunities that we might be able to help with, then I don't know how to communicate my contact details. But,
an email will go out next week with everything on, and that'll be included. So,
okay, So that's that.
Brilliant. Thanks, Emma. And then Mark, did you want to say a few words?
Morning again. Yes, just I think it's the right timing. In here, the Enterprise Lab, on the 29th of March, we are hosting another event, brilliantly named Launchpad. And it's for businesses that aren't in the space sector that want to be in the space sector. And it's been facilitated by Graham, who's in the room, and Jane, who's online. So yeah, it's free, and just get in touch. Graham will post the event on.
It's on Eventbrite now.
On Eventbrite now,
Yeah, please do.
and it'll be in the chat soon. So yeah, please, more than merrier. Come. And before I leave, I just want to say massive thanks to Terry and to Rachel for organising this. Pete online, brilliant as always, and Piero and Jay. Cheers. I'll go now. Thank you.
Mark. Right. So Rachel, could you put my slides back up, because there's just a few things I'd like to mention. So as I said before, you're all part of Design Network North now, whether you like it or not. Hopefully that isn't a bad thing. Yes, we've had that. So that's what I said at the beginning. That's what we're all about. Just keep clicking through these because and again. But so our role really as facilitators of this network is to support the network. I'm so used to having a little clicker. Which we have done pretty well, I think, for the last 13 years. It's about encouraging collaboration through things like this and other ways. I think probably that's one of the aspects where the magic happens. You know, when you get two people who would never normally be in a room together or operate in very different circles, who kind of find out that they can do something really interesting together that wouldn't have happened otherwise. And it's about giving assistance as well to businesses. So if you want some help with something, I love it when somebody rings up or gets an email saying, "Can you help us with this?" Or "Do you know someone who can do that?" So, you know, we're always there if you need anything like that. It's also about sharing knowledge through things, events like this. And it's really about raising the profile of this region, the importance of design, of the things that are going on. So if you want some help to raise your profile, you want us to help you wave that flag, then let us know. This is where you've been this morning, opportunities in space. So one of the ways that we do that is through the Horizon Design events, second Friday of every month, usually. You're jotting down those dates. I wouldn't bother because they might, well, the dates will be the same. Because I've just had an email earlier from the cyber safety people saying, can they move it to May? But there'll be lots of interesting things happening. But yeah, and you will get an email. But so the background to this is that we're delivering what we've called the Design Support Alliance, which is part of the innovation delivery partnerships that have been set up by the LEP, one of whom is the Satellite Hub. Is that the correct term for it? Or the Satellite something? Yeah. So those of you who were with us last month, an immersive tech innovation delivery partnership. There's one covering cybersecurity. There's a batteries one, there's an electric drives one, and then we're supporting all of those activities with what we've called the Design Support Alliance. And one of the ways that we're doing that is using these events to showcase some of this stuff that's going on, some amazing clusters really that we've got in the region, and kind of letting everyone know why they're important, not just for people in that industry, but also outside of it as well. So these are some of the topics that we have coming up. So 8th of April is the next one. It'll be something interesting. And then the 13th of May, and then and then we'll be going through into June, hopefully on something around aging innovation. Should be another slide right here. Next one. There we go. Or design for the older consumer. It's a touchy subject, that one. We're all getting a bit closer to it. So you have to be careful how you describe older. But there you go. So, but then we've got, I mean, beyond that, you know, if you've got something you'd like to share, if there's a topic you think we should cover, then let me know, and we can build an event around that. So all of those are on, this is actually last month, so the information on all these is on the website. Also, the live streams from the last 6 months or so are on there as well. So if you didn't manage to get there for robotics or service design or wearable tech or all the other subjects we've covered, or maybe you were there and you missed something, you can relive the magic. I do edit out all the boring bits, which is like me. So, you don't have to sit through all of this waffle. You'll just hear the good stuff. There's other information on the website as well. As I say, events that are coming up, there's a news page. So if there's something you want to share, let us know and we can put it up there. If you've never been before, it's on the next slide, which is designnetworknorth.org. And then the next one is, we've got several sponsors today, actually. So I've mentioned the LEP. Supply Chain Northeast is a program that's run by RTC North. As the name suggests, it's all about supply chains, helping companies get into new supply chains, including space tech. The event last week, was that associated with Supply Chain Northeast? So there was a big event to do with Lockheed Martin, who are going to be setting something up, hopefully, in this region. But they do work around offshore wind and the rail supply chain. So Rachel and Andy, give us a wave. Both know that project really well and are delivering on it. So if you want to know a bit more about what that is, then have a chat with them afterwards. And then also we're sponsored kind of by the Innovate UK. It's now called Edge, but I haven't got the new branding. So that's basically a support program for any business doing anything innovative, which is all you guys, I'm sure. Unlike some of the programs that we run, it's not limited to geography, so you can be anywhere in the north. We have a team of about 30 in the 3 northern offices, and it's also for larger companies as well, up to about 500. And we can give you sort of 5, 7, sometimes 10 days worth of support, which can be almost anything that you need, really. So I'm delivering on that one. So if you want to know a bit more about that, have a chat with me afterwards, or connect online if you're not in the room. Some other things that are coming up. So kind of following on from this, we're doing a workshop jointly with the satellite people, as I'm going to call you now, around some of the applications of satellite technology, in particular with in relation to issues that there are within local authorities around traffic management and planning and environmental stuff, and really kind of all the sort of smart cities things that are going on. So we haven't fixed a date yet, but it'll probably be in the middle of May. And the idea is that we'll get some people, as we have today, talking about the possibilities and what can be done. We'll also have some people from the local authorities talking about what issues they've got. And then we'll do some sort of design sprints and things to look at, well, can we solve some of these problems? And then we're hoping there'll be a little funding pot as well. So if any consortia that emerge who want to have a go at something and make a start on something, we'll be able to put a little bit of money into it and see where we get to. So we'll keep you informed about that. Hopefully we'll be able to fix a date in the next couple of weeks. So keep an eye out on your inboxes. Design Council are doing a survey. I stroked that in a rather strange way there, didn't I? The Design Council are doing a survey on what is design. So if you work in design, they'd love to know a bit more about what you do and why and other things. I'll include a link to that survey in the information that I send out early next week. There's also, we've got coming up a Global Business Innovation Programme. Innovate UK run a range of these sort of trade missions, usually around a technology area in a particular country. So there's a big thing around in South Africa around sustainable plastics. So they're interested to hear about people who work in that area, who've got technologies, who've got products, who've got whatever. So there's a visit in May, I think, and you can get a lot of the costs of that covered. You'll be visiting conferences and companies and various other things. So if sustainable plastics is your thing and is your world, then have a look at that. And again, I'll send in some more information on that afterwards. Wilson's Republic are a design network based in the Huddersfield area, and they, like us, have been they've been virtual for the last 2 years. They've got a live event, their first one in a couple of years, on the 24th of this month. So if you're in the Huddersfield area, get yourself along. They're a great crowd, a bit like us. So it's on, is it on an evening? Yes, on an evening in Huddersfield. I said I'd give them a plug because they always plug us. But they're a good crowd. So if you're in that area, get yourself along. And Lego have launched what they call the Build a World of Play. So they've got this massive, I think it's about 9, does it say on there? A lot of money. I think it's about $90 million they've got in this pot. And it's all around creating new things for kids and children, whether that's to do with play or education or well-being or whatever it might be. So they're looking for projects to fund, and it's open now. We're hopefully going to do something with, some of you might know Chris from Global Teacher, who developed that solar-powered projector, which he launched a couple of weeks ago. So we're looking at doing something around that, and getting Disney involved maybe, and Lego, which would be pretty good. But if you've got any thoughts on, you know, what you maybe want to get involved in that, or you know someone who might be interested in that, I don't know a huge amount about it, but I can certainly find out. And if you want some help with pulling something together, maybe pulling a consortium together, we'd love to help you with that. So let me know. And just finally, the Design Means Business Conference that we've run for a couple of years is still, you can still view that online. So there's some brilliant talks from some brilliant speakers. So that's on the event, that's on the website. So you just log in, use an Eventbrite, and you get access to all the talks that we had there. And I think that's the end. Is that the end? That's the end. Thank you all so much for being here. It's been an absolute treat. It's been a challenge, but we all like a challenge. And thank you guys for joining us on Zoom. Maybe next month you'll be here in person for a fabulous bacon sandwich. But if you can't, don't worry about it. Hopefully today has been as good for you as it has been for us. And tell us if it hasn't. Stick around on Zoom. Stick around here in the room. We've still got tea and coffee and bacon sandwiches at the back. Don't rush off. It's been great. It's been good to see you, and I'll see you again soon, I hope. Thank you.